No one's absent today, right? No shout outs, anyone? No? Okay. All right. Sorry. Chanel, cosine alpha plus beta is?
Cosine alpha times cosine beta minus sine alpha sine beta.
Do you guys agree? Okay. So this is a sum of two angles. Solution was right. Go and do cosine of 40 degrees plus 80 degrees. 40 degrees plus 80 degrees is now cosine of 120, which now you know how to do exactly. So go ahead and figure that out, and then let me call on one of us. Once you have an answer, confirm it. So David D, what's your final answer, dear? Negative 1/2. Do you guys agree? Is quad 2? It's definitely negative. Okay. So negative 1/2. Now we're going to move over to B, which is quite similar, except it's a tangent. So is that, Katie, is that tangent of addition or subtraction for B? Okay. So tangent, Katie said subtraction. Okay. Just give me the identity and only the identity. Okay. So David R, give me the identity for tangent alpha minus beta. If you need to look over your team's notes.
Tangent alpha plus tangent beta over tangent alpha beta.
So tangent of alpha minus beta is tangent of alpha. Sorry, that's meant to be alpha. What else, guys? David, one more time. Tangent alpha what?
Plus tangent beta.
Plus?
Minus tangent beta.
Would minus or plus? Class? Minus. Very good. Tangent of beta. Good. All over.
1 plus tangent alpha tangent beta.
Excellent, David. Do you guys agree with David on the identity? Go ahead. So as you can, Chanel?
Oh, for the exam, are we getting provided with these?
Nothing. You have to know it all. Even second semester or during final exam, you have to know these all. Second semester, guys, will be all inclusive of first semester, so make sure you guys know it all. Okay, good question, Chanel. All right, that leads me to believe I have tangent of alpha in this question, Anthony, is how many degrees? 40, very good. Beta in this question, Amanda, is how many degrees? Very good. Okay, that leads me to believe this is now tangent of 30 degrees. Go ahead and find the exact answer for me. Consult with your team. And Marco, whenever you're ready, bud.
Radical 3 over 3.
Radical 3 over 3. You guys agree, Marco? Heck yeah. Okay, now hold on tight before I go any further. Once you get down to tangent of 30, that's all unit circle, right? Do you have to know your unit circle really, 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 really well? Oh, yeah. It's like your times table. Any questions so far before I get to the next example? Okay. Example 3. This is probably going to take us the remaining time. Example 3 has two parts, A and B, and each part has 3 components, 1 eye, 2 eyes, and 3 eyes. And again, find the exact value. 1 eye says find sine of alpha minus beta. 2 eye says find cosine of alpha plus beta. And 3 eye says find tangent at alpha minus beta. Now in your homework, or eventually it's going to be your classwork now, it has 6 parts. I'm only doing 3 parts. What do you think the other 3 parts are? The other one, right? The plus for sine, the minus for cosine, and the plus for tangent. Okay, we're going to practice half. Part A says you are given sine of alpha is 3/5. Alpha is in between pi over 2 and pi. Let's figure out what quadrant that is in. What quadrant is that in? That is in quadrant number 2. You're right. Okay. And because it's in quad 2, I'm going to go and draw my triangle in quad 2. And this is alpha. Then from there, I need to label all my measurements. Do we have enough to find all my 3 measurements? Opposite, adjacent, and hypotenuse. What's opposite? 3. Hypotenuse? Good. Cautiously, what is the adjacent? It's 4, but it has to be negative. It's 4, but it has to be negative. Okay. Any questions so far on alpha? At some point, I will also need, they gave you sine of alpha, but at some point, I will probably need cosine of alpha as well. Right, class? At some point, I will probably need to use tangent of alpha as well. So let's find those. What's cosine of alpha? Negative 4 over 5. That's why identifying the quadrant and drawing it in the right quadrant, it's important. What's tangent? Negative 3 divided by 4. Okay. Then we're going to move over. It said, and it gave you sine of beta is negative 1 over rad 5. And if you really want to, you can use the rational ones. Negative rad 5 over 5. It gave you a restriction for beta. What quadrant is that in? Quadrant 4. You're right. Quad 4. So let's go and draw that triangle in quad 4. Now, we're going to find all the measurements for this beta triangle. Should we use the rationalized ratio or the non-rationalized ratio? Non, it's easier to use the non in the triangle labeling. So the opposite leg gets what? Negative 1. The hypotenuse gets what? Rad 5. Very cautiously and slowly work out the adjacent and then compare in your team. And then I'm just going to call on one of us to give me the adjacent leg. Positive and negative? Positive, because we're in quad 4. X is positive. Okay. Miss Amber, what is your adjacent leg? Oh, yeah, that's right. I keep forgetting. Oh, we miss her. Okay. Alex H, what did you get, dear?
2.
2. You guys agree? Okay, here we go. Let's find sine of beta as well. I'm sorry, sine's already given. Cosine of beta, I meant. Cosine of beta and also tangent of beta. Okay. Ryan, what's cosine of angle beta?
Negative 2, or not just 2, or 2 rad 5.
Right, so 2 rad 5 over 5 sounds great. Or you can write 2 over rad 5 and rationalize that later. At some point, you will have to rationalize, okay? Tangent of beta. Sophia, dear, what's tangent of beta? Rad 5. I'm going to write this first. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Do you guys agree that, like that? Can I write that first?
Oh,
That's okay. So tangent is opposite over adjacent. So is that okay? All right. Now we're going to do one eye. Slowly. Cautiously. One eye says you are asking to find sine of 2 angles subtracting one another. Okay. When you guys are doing your homework, make sure you write down all the identities. Just like Chanel asked earlier, it will not be provided anywhere at any time during this course. Alexander, what's the identity for sine of alpha minus beta?
Sine alpha times sine beta
Times cosine of beta.
Minus cos of beta.
Sure.
Cosine of alpha times sine of beta.
Good. Someone confirm that for me? Good. Let's plug it in. Okay. Sine of alpha we know, cosine of beta we know, cosine of alpha we know, and sine of beta we know. So sine of alpha, what was that, Amy D? 3 over 5. Cosine of beta. Amy Z, what was that, dear? Which one do you want to use? Yeah, so we don't have to rationalize, right? So 2 rad 5 over 5. Cosine of alpha, please, Trey.
Cosine alpha, that is negative.
Right. And sine, Aiden, dear, sine of beta. I'm sorry, one more time? Rad negative or positive, dear? Yes, that has to be there. Okay. All right, bust out your basic math. Write it in. Let me know what the final answer is. Once you have the final answer, can you please compare with your team? All right, my awesome Lauren, what's your final answer?
2 rad 5 over 25.
Did you guys agree? Yeah. I wrote the middle step right there, but Lauren's correct. Okay, 2 rad 5 over 25. Can you cancel the inside of the radical and the outside? No, inside the radical can only be simplified with the inside radical. Okay. All right, 2b, here we go. I'm like, not 2b, 2i's. 2i asks you to find cosine alpha plus beta. Okay, identity and only identity. Okay, look back at your notes if you need to. Edison, what's identity? Plus or minus, dear? Okay. Someone confirm that for me. With cosine, do you guys have to be careful, okay? With cosine identities, it's the opposite. Do you guys agree with that? Okay. All right, let's bust out all this stuff, okay? Identity, ratio, okay. Lucian, can you give me all of those quantities? I got 4 to plug in.
Negative 4 over 5.
-4 over 5.
2 rad 5 over 5.
2 rad 5 over 5.
3 over 5.
3 over 5.
Negative rad 5.
Someone confirm with Lucian for me? Yes, all right. Bust out your basic math. Find an answer. Compare in your team. Let me shuffle your cards again. Back there. Once you have a final answer, please compare. Final answer. Amy Z, what did you get, dear?
Negative rad 5 over 5.
Do you guys agree with Amy? When I multiply them together, I got negative 8 rad 5 with 25 plus 3 rad 5 with 25, but technically that could go a little bit further to negative 5 rad 5 over 25. I can cancel out the negative 5 and the 25 to give me a negative 1 times rad 5 over 5. Very good. Pinch it in. And 3 i's, tangents. Was it a summation of tangent, by the way? Tangent, subtraction, thank you. Alpha minus beta. All right, identity and only identity. Trey, alpha minus beta of tangent.
Tangent of alpha minus tangent of beta, all over 1 plus tangent of alpha.
All over 1 plus tangent of alpha times tangent of beta. Thank you, sir. Okay, what is tangent of alpha? Ryan, what was tangent of alpha?
Negative 3 over 4.
-3 over 4 minus, What was tangent of beta, Edison? Negative 1/2 all over 1 plus, since I already have those from the top, I'm just going to copy those straight down. Be very cautious with tangent, because oftentimes you will get a fraction over a fraction, so you have to simplify it very slowly. Okay, on the top, do I have to find a common denominator? Yeah, which is what, by the way? 4. So 4 here, negative 3 on the top stays. This is 4, so it's now positive 2. Okay. On the bottom, by the way, can I do division this way? Is that okay to do 2 dots division? Because at some point, I will probably have to do what? What would I have to do at some point? Multiply by? It's reciprocal. Okay. So this leads me to negative 1 over 4 divided by, what's a common denominator for the second half here? 8. Very good. I'm going to write, remember, as a teacher, I write everything out. Now, as a student, you write what you are more comfortable with. Okay? So negative 1/4 divided by 11 over 8. So far, so good? Then, when we multiply by its reciprocal, what's our final answer? Negative 2 all over 11. That's right. So this first half is not as challenging. You're just looking for plugging it in. If you know the identities, you can plug it in. Now let's move on to B. It's similar, except to tangent. So why don't you do me a favor? I'm going to sketch out the triangle with you, and then I'm going to have you try 1i and 2i on your own, okay? So B says cosine of alpha is 1/2. Now, Lucian, what quadrant is the angle alpha in? You are correct. It is in quad 4. Okay, quad 4. So we are going to draw out that triangle, label the parts. Here's alpha. So opposite of this is going to be, oh, I should say adjacent first. Sophia, can you tell me how to label this triangle? Very good. Very good. That leads me to the opposite. Do you know what the opposite is, Sophia? Yeah, take your time. Work it out. Perfect. But you are in quad number? Perfect. Okay. At some point, I will probably use sine of alpha and also? Yeah, so might as well write it right here. Okay. So what would sine of alpha be, Aiden? Perfect. Oops, that does not look like a 2. And what would tangent, Lauren dear, what would tangent of alpha be? Perfect. Okay. Now we're going to try to sketch or draw the triangle for beta. What quadrant is beta in, Alexandra H? Perfect. Nicely done. So beta gets there. So now let's label the sides of beta. Amy D, what are the measurements for beta? Perfect. Keep rad 8. You have to simplify that. So what would that be? 2 rad 2. Perfect. Okay. And at some point, we will probably use cosine of beta, and we will probably use tangent of beta as well. So, Amanda, dear, what would cosine of beta be? Good. And what would tangent of beta be? Marco? Good. Let's try to rationalize that so later we don't have to rationalize. How would I rationalize that, by the way? Multiply top and bottom by the radical? 2, right? So what would you end up with? That's right, about 2/4. So why don't you guys try one eye out as well as 2 eyes, and then we'll come together and do 3 eyes together. Because 3 eyes is where I need to sort of verify your rationalization. I gave you plenty of space, right? Yeah, because I write so much. Once you can talk it out, especially if you're stuck, I'll walk around right now to sort of verify the Now, if you're like me and make lots and lots of silly mistakes, then you might want to write down everything. But if you make a mistake, that would not be okay. Let's see. So that's okay. Okay, so fix the number. But that's okay, because you can't combine here. These two cannot be combined. Only the radicals, 6 and radicals 6 will combine. So now on the top, what would you get once you get to here? This is good. This is good. This is also good. This is not good. Perfect. All over.
I'm so unsure.
How did you get?
Maybe you should.
So sine of alpha, which is
That's a good idea.
is 2 minus sine of alpha. I mean, so cosine of
She said she'd do it with us, but I'm just doing it just because.
I need
I mean, I'm trying to find the time.
Oh, why you guys don't want to do it? Oh, you're quick. All right, Alexandre, tell me from beginning to end. One eye. What did they ask you to find, by the way?
Sine of alpha minus beta.
Good. What was the identity?
Sine of alpha times cosine of beta minus cosine of alpha times sine.
Perfect. Okay. Now, what did you write on in these 4 sets?
Negative rad 3 over 2.
Negative,
2 rad 2 over 3. 1 half and 1 third.
1 half and 1 third. Okay, and then your next step, what did you write?
Negative 2 times rad 6.
Perfect.
Over 6.
Perfect.
Minus 1 6.
Perfect. And what was your final answer?
Negative 2 rad 6 minus 1 over 6.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Good job. Now, guys, let me just kind of give you other choices in answers. This is the perfect answer. I would definitely accept that if it's a free response. Oh, Lucian, can you hit the keyboard for me? Now, if it's a multiple choice class, this is also an equivalency. Can you see that some books will also factor out the negative 6? Okay. Now, this is also an equivalency, and let me write it here so that way you understand how it's written. Some books would write 2 plus rad 6, 2 rad 6 plus 1, and guess what they do with the negative sign? They put right in the front, right along the bar, okay? And let me tell you the difference between putting it along the bar and just putting right on the top. If this negative sign is going to go any higher or lower, if let's say that I make a mistake and I write it right here, then there's only a negative with what? 2 rad 6, and this doesn't apply. Does that make sense so far? So that's why when I write it, I tend to use parentheses, so I'm not moving it, I have to be like really cautious. But when typing, I can type like this. So all of this right here, class, are equivalency, okay? So make sure if it's a multiple choice, you can pick an equivalency of what you got, okay? Perfect. Good job. Now 2B, not 2B, double I says you were asked to find cosine of alpha plus beta, okay? Let's just get the final answer to see if we are all agreeing, okay? So final answer and only final answer, okay? Amy Z, what did you get?
I got 2 rad 3
plus rad 3 over 6, okay? And what did you get, Trey?
I got the same thing.
Trey agrees. Okay. Ryan, what did you get, bud?
2 rad 2 plus rad 3 over 6.
Okay, so you guys agree. And Edison, what did you get?
2 rad 2.
Okay, so any question on that one? Like I need to go over? Okay. Now tangent, it's a little bit icky in this one. If you got down all the way to the bottom, which I saw some of you started, okay, but I'll get the original here. Lucian, can you give me the identity for tangent alpha minus beta?
Tan alpha minus tan beta over 1 plus tan alpha tan beta.
Perfect. If your identities is wrong, the whole thing is wrong. So let's bust it out. Here we go. Sophia, what's tangent alpha? Negative rad 3. Perfect. Minus. What was tangent of beta? Aiden. Rad 2 over, I'm sorry, one more time? 4. Okay. All over. Since I have those guys, I don't need. So this one's going to be negative rad 3, and then this is positive rad 2 over 4. If you want to, can you write negative rad 3 over 1 like that? Sure. Okay, now let's do basic math, and slowly. First, I have to find the common denominator on the numerator, which is what, y'all? 4. You're right. And again, I'm going to write all the steps out. Some of you already got to the end. And then I'm going to also write division this way. The bottom, I'm going to write 1 minus rad 6 over 4. Are we okay so far with that? Yes?
Isn't the first fraction will be negative?
Oh, 3, 3. Yeah, good eye. Way to go. Sorry, I jumped to the gun there. And I even wrote the rad 2 wrong. Okay, good eye, Chanel. Negative 4 rad 3 over 4 minus rad 2 over 4 divided by 1 minus rad 6 over 4. Okay. Now I'm going to turn the 1 again into a 4 over 4. So this is negative 4 rad 3 minus rad 2 all over 4 divided by 4 minus rad 6 over 4. Are we comfortable with me going straight there? Okay. Now, because I am dividing fractions, I will now turn that into a multiplication. Negative 4 rad 3 minus rad 2 all over 4 times 4 all over 4 minus rad 6. What do you see the 4 and the 4? They are. So now here's where you are. I think this is where all of us are kind of at. But you can't keep it like that. You have to rationalize your denominator. Oh, see? I keep messing that up. Okay. You have to rationalize your denominator. How do you guys remember rationalizing this, Chanel?
Multiply by the conjugate of the denominator.
Yes. What is the conjugate of the denominator?
4 plus rad 6.
Perfect. 4 plus rad 6 is right. Okay. And you slowly FOIL that out. Because if you make a mistake, you might be done. So, well, let's multiply the bottom first because I like the bottom. What would you get in the bottom? 4 times 4 is what? 16. Negative rad 6 times a positive rad 6 is what? 6. Okay, now on the top, here we go. Negative 4 rad 3 times 4 is now a negative 16 rad. Rad what? 3. Negative 4 rad 3 times a rad 6 is now a negative what? 4 rad 18. I'm going to hold it right there. That's just my first one. Now I'm going to take a negative 2. Negative 2 times a positive 4 is? Negative 4 rad 2. Then negative 2 times a positive rad 6 is what? Negative. I'm going to write negative rad 12 first, and I'll get there. I'm going to hold it right there. Do we agree with those distribution right now? Because now, from here, we are going to simplify. I'm going to write negative 16 rad 3. How about 4 rad 18? What are you going to do with that? 12 rad 2. Can we all agree? Okay. So that's 12. I'm going to do this. 4 times rad 3 rad 2. Is that okay to write? That way some of you don't see it right away. Then drop this 4 rad 2 down. 12 is 4 times 3, so that's really minus 2 rad what? 3. And on the bottom is just now a 10. Yay, nay, maybe? Yeah. Okay. Can I combine those two guys right there? What would you get? Negative 18 rad 3. Can I combine these two dudes right here? What would those two guys get? Negative 16 rad 2 all over 10. Can I box it up? Call it a day. Take a nap. No. What would you do now? Factor out a 2. If you factor out to 2, you have a negative 9 rad 3 minus what? 8 rad 2 all over 10. Can I box that up? Heck no. You're going to get, final answer, negative 9 rad 3 minus 8 rad 2 all over 5. Now you can box that up. Take a nap. And literally, you can take a nap. You're done for the day.